Phil Gallagher, ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. Today we are going to be playing with a rather interesting deck that traditionally goes by the name Mono Blue Martyr. This name is a little deceptive because A, there are white cards in the deck, and B, there's only like 3 Martyrs over here, so the name is a little bit weird. So what's going on with this deck? This deck is built around Sky Hussar, which is a floor 3 for 5. Don't worry about that part. The important part is Forecast, which is an ability that you can activate during your upkeep once a turn. Tap 2 untapped white and or blue creatures you control, reveal Sky Hussar from your hand to draw a card. So this is the core engine of the deck. The idea is to use Ether Vial to dump in a whole bunch of cheap creatures and then draw 1 card with them at every turn via Sky Hussar. And the things that you're fueling yourself into are more cheap creatures and more free counter magic. So you have 4 Force of Will, 2 Force of Negation, and 4 Days in the main deck, in addition to 3 Flusterstorms that really allow you to take control of the game, kind of similarly to how Ninjas does. The Bug, or sometimes Blue-Black Ninjas deck that is floating around, often tries to go and like stick a source of card advantage and then like counter and destroy everything else that you love for the rest of the game. This deck is trying to do something similar, albeit in a slightly more janky way. The text of the creatures that this deck is playing don't really matter all that much. You're playing these blue 1-drops that have like some sort of like marginal upside. They're mostly there to be like 1/1s that you tap for Sky Hussar to help you draw cards, and they're gonna get into the red zone and do some damage. But Niv Magus Elemental is really the only one that is gonna do like serious work. And that's because it can do really cute things with a Flusterstorm. You can like cast a Flusterstorm and then like exile the copies that you don't need, or like exile all the copies to just create a giant creature that only costs you 1 mana. Why only 2 Wasteland? I don't know. It was what was in the deck list that I was shipped. That's my comment. Notably, the deck runs 13 lands. I'm not entirely sure how it gets away with that, even with like Sky Hussar. Like, we're in like burn level of lands at that point. So it seems to me like I'm gonna have a lot of hands where I just don't have mana to do things and I die. Uh, like we're gonna see how that goes. It feels like I have to mulligan somewhat aggressively. Like 13 lands feels like so sketchy to me. But here we are. Like I don't know. So like this is a 1-cost spell essentially. And I'm gonna just move some stuff around for a second. I forgot about Disrupting Shoals when I was talking about free counter magic. And these spells are free, and you don't actually cast these. So like counting this as a 2-drop most of the time, and this is a 2-drop most of the time. This is what your curve actually looks like, where this is like 0, 1, and 2. Maybe it works out. I'm a little skeptical of the numbers based on the first glance, though. Yeah, I took kind of a low-key week because this was the start of the teacher work week at school. So there'll normally be more content than this, but I just kind of decided to slow my roll this week while I was getting back into the swing of things. Evening, Zopmaster. Hope all is well. Our sideboard isn't overly exciting. We have 4 Tormod's Crypts for graveyard decks. We have a handful of Back to Basics, which we'll somehow cast via our 13 lands, question mark, for getting free wins in a lot of matchups. And then just a little bit of adjustment in any direction. We have 2 more fat creatures. We have 2 more counter spells. We have 2 more free removal spells. With that said, let's just kind of hop into things. Oh, congratulations on actually getting Allosaurus Shepherd. That is not easy to do right now. I have to borrow Luxus from someone for the stream that I have planned Saturday. Saturday is going to be combo goblins. Yeah, what was that, Jumpstart? Is that what that was from? That set had like so many just like absolutely insane things. Allosaurus Shepherd and Luxus being the leading ones among them, and Conspicuous Snoop being like a very powerful card that lots of people were excited about, but then like it was just like totally eclipsed by the power level of Muxus. Things are going well for me. Uh, teacher work week is weird. It like the teacher work week is normally like a whole lot of bureaucratic stuff at the beginning, and then they give you time to work. And the same is true this year, but now it's like bureaucratic stuff and like COVID-19 safety tips for 2 hours. It's brutal. Um, I, as an individual, am working from home. So I am working remotely, but that's not the case for all of my colleagues. Our sixth through ninth graders are in person, or blended is the technical term, where it's like 3 days remote to 2 days in person, and our 10th through 12th graders are full remote. Our 10th through 12th graders are currently, I don't remember if I'm allowed to say that yet. The someone, my teacher work week is this week and next week, and classes start the following week. So classes for me are going to start on Monday the 17th. I have about a week and a half to get everything in order. We're starting a little bit earlier than normal this year. We did some adjustments to our academic calendars due to various COVID reasons, and it just made sense to start earlier. Yes, my students randomly pop in on my streams. Every once in a while to ask Platinum questions, but usually just to, troll me and have a little bit of fun. Good-hearted fun, though. Like, they like me. They enjoy that I do this sort of stuff. Oh, that reminds me. I don't remember if I said this or not. This donation was from Red from the Discord. So we're playing with a spicy meatball tonight. Excellent. Also, I just want to throw it out there. It really sucks trying to give a lecture in a mask. So I'm sort of a teacher leader at my school, so I do various sort of like informational sessions from teachers from time to time. And this week I did one of them on like collaboration, that is like getting students to work together digitally. And I ran that session twice in a row. So I essentially talked for 2 hours straight, which is normally fine. But doing that while like also wearing a mask and also trying not to take off the mask to drink water is rough. Oh, SCK, you get it. Oh my gosh, you get it, Ben. It's Nathan. Get wrecked, noob. I mean, good luck, have fun. Alright, I have to read Disrupting Shoal. It's been a hot minute. Okay. So we can counter like a Blood Moon sort of thing that my opponent plays. Like what is my hand supposed to look like against Mono Red Prison? This is probably fine. Alright, maybe Blood Moon was a bad example. I don't know, like this can't be that bad. We have lands. I'm not gonna mulligan. Spirits? Not quite, Nathan. Not quite. Not Blood Moon deck. Oh, this is gonna be very good then. The way to get this like juicy Scab Ruinator into play. I think we think for Judge's Familiar versus Ether Vial here is kind of interesting. I'm gonna play the Judge's Familiar here in hopes of protecting the Ether Vial. So at 3 mana, Disrupting Shoal will be a hard counter for like Swords to Plowshares and Friends. Yeah, we're playing against a standstill deck. I guess that's resolving. My creatures fly. Our creatures don't. No, Daze is like totally fine here. I have a lot of different lines available to me. Play a standstill into my vial and 2 onboard creatures. I dare you. I dare you. Challenge accepted. I can now Disrupting Shoal the standstill because this Daze isn't going to do much. Indeed, this one's not Monster Train. I'm excited for Monster Train. I'm going to play a lot this weekend, I think. I got a couple of donations for some Monster Train content. I think this is better than pitching a blue card and one of my creatures to like Days plus Judge's Familiar or something. I'm now in this weird position where like I really want to take this vial up to put Scab Ruinator into play. But conceptually I want to leave vial on one. I'm going to take the vial up to put this into play, but I don't really want to, you know? Casting this thing from my graveyard is so sweet. Yeah, so in case you weren't familiar, Fine and Andy, they made an announcement today for Monster Train that they're going to be getting new champions soon. No time announced, but like, it's coming. What do you counter? Instants or sorceries? Okay. The fairy is a thing that occurs. Yeah, the devs are like quite good with taking feedback. Oh, baby. Yeah, so the kind of unfortunate thing here is that our opponent is going to be pretty good at turning the corner. Yeah, second Mishra's Factory there is real rough. So my opponent gets to hit me for 7 this turn and 9 next turn, and then I'm dead. I really need to like draw, I don't know, a piece of interaction. I need something to change my clock in my favor. That's not it. So unfortunately, like we won the fight over all of the key spells, but without a draw engine, a ninja, or something like that, I'm just not really in a favorable position here. So I can do some chump blocking this turn to cast a Scab Ruinator. To Fairy Bounce on the Vial was game winning potentially. I can attack for 2, put my opponent to 6. Jump block 1. No, I need to jump block twice. Which means that I should attack with Judge's Familiar, put my opponent to 7. Next turn I cast Scab Ruinator, have a Judge's Familiar left behind. I don't know exactly how I get out of this without drawing a bounce spell. I want this card in my graveyard, oddly enough. I am dead to a removal spell this turn. Okay, that's not going to do it. Concede. I needed some source of card advantage there, or I needed the back half of this Brazen Borrower, or I needed my opponent to not have the second man land, or I needed my opponent to not bounce the Vial. There were a lot of little things that could have went right, and then this match tipped in my favor, but those things didn't occur. I don't think Jitte is particularly good here. I don't really want to be sinking mana into that sort of thing. Pithing Needles seem fine. I'll take an undercosted 5/4 as the game goes long. I'll potentially take these. No. Back to Basics is also not crazy because the man lands are so good against me. I'm not sure about Back to Basics. Like, it seems like it stops some problems that I'm going to have, but I don't know whether or not my opponent is going to play around me having, like, Wasteland and or Back to Basics. What don't I want? Days? As bad as games go long. Flusterstorm's not great, but is real cute with Niv-Magus Elemental. Disrupting Shoal is probably a little hard to make work. I don't think I want to cut bodies. Like, dorky 1/1 bodies are totally fine. Issue with Disrupting Shoal is a lot of the things that I want to counter from my opponent are more than CMC 1. I don't know. Maybe let's try something like this to start with. Like have a couple of answers, 2 planeswalkers and manlands, have one other big threat. Oh, I already cut Jittes to start with. I forgot about that. I ran out of time. Let's do that. I think Disrupting Shawl might be worse than Jitte. This has a Sky Hussar, so I guess I keep it. Like 2 1-drops plus Sky Hussar seems fine. I don't know. Like, I don't know where that lands in terms of quality. Notably, Sky Hussar can only be activated during my upkeep. So I can't just like play a 1-drop and then do it next turn. That doesn't work. Nice, we get to answer both of my opponent's primary win conditions. Yeah, I hope we get to like watch this deck pop off a few times. That's obviously very good. At the very least, we've drawn a card. Hoping to draw a land so I can just like slam this Jitte, use the Jitte to answer the Mentor. Nope. Draw? One of the remaining 12 lands, please? Aha! Great. I've traded Force of Will and Jace for Judge's Familiar. Congratulations. Admittedly, I'm in pretty bad shape if they can just Swords to Plowshares this creature. Alright, that is like having it all. That's insane. I don't beat that. mean, I think I'm obligated to go for it. Now what? I kind of have to be the one who blinks first. I try to kill this mentor on their turn. I like give them more damage in combat in all likelihood, while also I'm at 7 life. Assuming that I kill the mentor now, and my opponent plays 1 spell next turn, I'm still probably dead. How do I give myself the greatest chance of actually surviving? Is it by, like, killing 2 monks instead of the mentor? Might be correct to, like, try to kill 2 monks here. And if my opponent plays a spell, I only take 6. I think I'm going to go for the mentor. I don't think I win this game unless I get to kill the mentor this turn. I'm dead to my opponent having, like, almost anything. But if they don't have things, I get to, like, kill 2 more monks, and, like, Pithing Needle to Myth Realize, we can start to talk. Needle indeed does do things. Opponent could use this mana to just put something on Myth Realized. Yep. Okay, so this is 5 damage. Okay, so I want to attack, get my Jitte counters, then cast Pithing Needle for Myth Realize, and kill 2 monks. That's the game plan. So now I just need to dodge a disenchant effect. A disenchant effect on a needle just outright kills me. So you're telling me there's a chance. I was going to plan on hard casting a Brazen Borrower at their end step. Also, don't really know how I ever beat Shark Typhoon. That's very unclear to me at this stage. Yeah, that's fine. Play this one like nice and patiently, just keep accumulating Jitte counters. Hold up some mana for some threats. Slash counterspells, slash interaction. Start drawing cards with Sky Hussar. Starting next turn? Question mark. We'll see. Nice. Let's bring in the other Jitte. That actually felt pretty good. I also think I bring in these. I think I bring in some of this stuff. Like, this countering Myth Realize is kind of cool. This stopping Manlands is kind of cool. Is it Sky Hussar? I've heard in various places that you enjoy drawing cards. Ah, you do also like graveyards. That's true. I didn't consider that side of the equation. Ruinator was a card that I was like super excited about when that card got spoiled. Like I loved this. This is like the what is it? The Timmy senses tingling. Like this is a card that like I pulled one of these very early on and I'm like, "Oh man, this is cool as hell." Like I have played many a like janky casual kitchen table deck that had this card in it. Yeah. So on the draw, I don't know that I love Days. Get a couple of like bodies attached to counter spells and do I back to basics? It seems so weird because like I don't know that it's insane against my opponent's deck. Is Ghoul Tree like the what is it like a 0-13? Is that the thing that like exchanges the life total? Is am I thinking of the right card? Tree of Redemption, that's right. There were a lot of trees back then. I think I'm supposed to try to play some back to basics. One of those. The Scabruinator seems a little hard to enable because my opponent is playing Swords to Plowshares. Eh? Like I have three 1-drops that I can cast and a source of card advantage, but I don't do anything to fight against my opponent's permanents, and I don't have anything unfair. I think I'm gonna try to ship this one. Go. 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 I'm in. I am so freaking in. Let's do this. I think if this resolves, I force of will. If my opponent goes to counter this, I think I force of will pitching the Mausoleum Wanderer so that I can keep double Ancestral. Maybe a touch greedy, but I think it's what I'm doing. Also, like, just saying, but back to basics later. Set up to look good. Hmm. Do I care? Feels kind of like I care. I have two of them in double Ancestral. I'll bite. Opponent's deck feels really threat dense. Do I put this in play in hopes of flusterstorming something, or do I just suspend another Ancestral? What are my, like, quote-unquote answers to this monk? Jete, Brazen Barhoer, Vantress Gargoyle. I'm not very good at answering creatures. Probably means I need to try and race. Yeah, I'll reiterate that it feels like my opponent has drawn most of their threats in these last two games. Dead? Seems like I'm just dead to that. Like, we have a whole bunch of cards coming down the pipe, but I lack the ability to interact with my opponent meaningfully right now. And I feel like that just leaves me dead at the end of the day. Like, assuming my opponent does nothing else, they can already crash in for 5. Potentially more. Alright, we can throw in the towel there. We're not winning from that point. Like, with my opponent having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures plus an active planeswalker, we're not coming back from that. Yeah. So like once we lost the ability to potentially take out the Teferi, um, I could not win there. Seems like you drew most of your threats in those last two games. Like, I don't know what your threat count is without looking at the list, but like, you did not draw a lot of cantrips. It was just like, manland, manland, myth realized, Teferi, mentor, more other mentor. Like, it was a rough string of spells in those two games. Wanted you to just like turtle around for a while and let me do cool things. So we're kind of on the like ninja plan here of just like play a one drop, start trying to draw cards, back it up with cheap counter spells. Yeah, the ninjas look much better when you can protect them for free. We'll see how this goes. Opponent has a shark avatar. Could also be playing standstill. You never know. It's a weird one. I don't know what deck my opponent is playing right now. Like, I don't know if they're just elves or I don't know if they're depths. If they're depths, I really want to counter this. If they're elves, I don't care about this. I think I'm going to let it resolve and try to get Ninja of the Deep Hours online this turn. Slightly awkward because like it's harder to connect on following turns with Ninja of the Deep Hours. How does this deck win? We haven't figured that part out yet, but we'll try to figure that out over the course of the stream. Yeah, like the plan is like bury your opponents in cards via Sky Hussar. Post. Green post. My soft counter spells don't feel amazing. Just throwing that out there. I also wonder if I'm going to get got by crop rotation. Crop rotation can make it so that my Ninja of the Deep Hours can be blocked and I'll be sad. Could play like Mausoleum Wanderer or Judge's Familiar or Martyr. I guess I can play Martyr of Frost. Reveal blue cards, right? Yeah. Play Martyr of Frost to try and protect my Ninja. I'll take phrases that most Legacy players haven't said for 500, Alex. guess. This puts a land into the graveyard. You're still a 1/2. Are you just accepting, like, tutoring once and calling it a day? You're just accepting tutoring once and calling it a day. Okay. Play some shitty blue creatures and see if we get there. We can block a Marilage for days. Days, I say. Oh, Miko Koro. Back in my day, that was a commander card. Until we tried to break it with Spirit of the Labyrinth. Narrator. He did not break it with Spirit of the Labyrinth. I did play Standard in the Bonfire era. Although I was not bonfiring at the time. Ornia, thank you very much for your continued support. As always, very much appreciated. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I shouldn't have played that land in case I drew one of my 2 wastelands. What are these 2 decks doing? Look, man, I'm just having fun with 1/1 creatures. I've cast more Rolling Earthquakes for lethal than Bonfires in Legacy. I've cast a lot of Rolling Earthquakes. Ah! Yeah, like we have Double Days, plus Martyr, plus Judge's Familiar, plus Mausoleum Wanderer. Just having the Merit Lodge. That's pretty good. I think I'll just draw a card with these 2 and not attack this turn. Just hold back 2 different creatures in case my opponent, I don't know, plays a removal spell for one of them. I don't know. Yeah, more flyers. I wonder if I can just like straight up kill my opponent with a Nib Magus Elemental. So I go end of their turn, Spellstrutter Sprite into Daze it, Cluster Storm it, eat all of the copies. Does anyone? I don't know how many of my viewers are like old enough to remember when like this deck had a big run at an SCG tournament one weekend and like got, I think, an on-camera feature match and a deck tech. Um, yeah, your Pithing Needle can resolve, I guess. I guess I can counter it, like, gonna do this stuff anyway. Oh, we're eating a lot of things. Okay. Alright, I'm holding down control. I would like my priority back, please. I'll counter your spell. You like to hang back and play defense? Feels sort of like you would. We're up to a 15-16. Try to make it a little bigger. Once it's bigger than a Merit Lodge, we're good. Yeah, forecast is once per turn. You have you have bogged me. There are no cards in graveyard. Hmm, that's interesting. I'll probably stop this shenanigans now. I'm the only one who gets to draw extra cards. That's me. That's a me thing. No to that. Tap some of these. Days is whatever. Jete. That assuredly does things. That lets me go to above 22. That's super relevant. That's worth, like, throwing away some small idiots for. Do I just turn my days into 2 counters on Niv Magus Elemental? Well, eventually we'll find a Brazen Borrower and we can just bounce it. I don't think I'd turn the days into another card. Like, this might have relevant text on the other side of the table. Yeah, I'm not really holding up Martyr right now, though. "2020, a lot of weird things happen in 2020. You kind of get used to it. Now this turn I can play like double Ether Vial, hold up a Martyr and equip Jitte. Yeah, Forecast is only an upkeep. It does have some restrictions. Not just tap 2 blue creatures, draw a card whenever you want. Card wasn't designed in 2019. I don't want to imagine alternate timeline cards that were designed in the last year or so. Don't know that my poor little heart can take it. A Reclamation Sage, huh? Just counter that with a Martyr of Frost. Do I care? Maybe I don't care. Like, maybe I just, like, kill the Rec Sage, gain 2 life, be at 22, and call that a day. Yeah, maybe I don't care. Like the Jitte's not going to be particularly good at killing Elvish Reclaimers at this stage. Mm, I don't think I care. Come on, Brazen Borrower. I believe in you, Brazen Borrower. Oh, why? Sure, that one can go to 2. These other ones can go to 1. That's why you believe in Brazen Borrower, yo. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Send them. I didn't forecast because I knew that card was on top of the library. That's why I yelled Yu-Gi-Oh! And all the light appeared. That wasn't a misplay. What are you talking about? Alright, bring some pithing needles. Back to basics seems good. Is submerge good? Let's assume it's good. Let's play that. Um, Flusterstorm is probably bad most of the time. Disrupting Shoal is probably bad most of the time. Ancestral Vision is really slow. Jitte's kind of awkward if my opponent can tutor up an answer to it. Also not the best way of like using my mana, but like going to 22 is super relevant. I'd probably, excuse me, keep them. Okay, let's trim one of these. I don't know, maybe I'm looking to dig specifically for like back to basics, submerge, and brazen borrower, so I keep those. Maybe my opponent isn't killing my stuff all that frequently, so I trim this, and I don't know, a daze? Question mark. Daze seems a little weird. A lot of my cards are a little weird though. Like I think daze, force of negation, Jitte all have some tension. Let's ship this and see how it feels. Can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels like we're missing something. Make this hand pop off. Not sure what it is, but I think I have to ship that one. Deal. Ah, you back to basics. Back to basics probably would have made the last one keepable. That's probably what it was. You're right. This turn 1 Niv Magus Elemental into turn 2 Niv Magus Elemental and Wasteland. Like a blue-red Delver hand. Mm, I don't know about letting that resolve. We're gonna abandon the double Nib Magus Elemental plan to stop that. Like, I don't really want that tutoring up combo pieces or like important lands, and also getting in the way of my good card. Good card. UQCM, thank you very much for following, as well as Gion5. Alright, what do you have at 1? Allosaurus? Nope, another Elvish Reclaimer. Secret piece of tech. We are going to sneak 1 point of damage this turn by just attacking with Niv Magus Elemental immediately. No fear. Opponent can't really afford the block. I don't think. Yeah. Sneaky point of damage. Why Ancestral Visions? It draws a bunch of cards. We have a bunch of bad cards in this deck. So we have to play some amount of reasonable cards, right? Like, if we draw a bunch of bad cards, we can maybe use them to overpower our opponent's good cards. That's probably why Ancestral Visions. But as a more serious answer, like, you don't always have Sky Hussar, right? Like, you don't always have your primary draw engine, so you want a secondary or even tertiary draw engine to be available to you. You would like to exile that creature? How about you take Judge's Familiar instead? Curious Obsession. Now, Solnox has some great ideas here. Yeah, no fear. Just attack into the creature that's the same size as you. Opponent is too scared. Solnox, I can confirm. I spent a couple weeks trying to play decks without those cards. It was rough. Admittedly, my last few streams have been like significantly better than the like 30 streams before them. Like, I went on, I don't know, like a 3-month stream where every league that I played was just miserable. And now, like, the last 4 leagues I've played have been reasonable. A Walking Ballista for 1 resolves. Will you trade your Walking Ballista for Martyr of Frost, though? This is an activated ability, isn't it? Maybe opponent forgets what Sky Hussar is? Holy shit. They named Nib Magus Elemental. We're good! Ah! You let my creatures live. That was your first mistake. I think I just leave up cast Spell Strutter Sprite this turn. That way, if my opponent pings Martyr of Frost, I can still draw a card in my next upkeep. That line's a little bit bad if my opponent just, like, goes land into put counter on Walking Ballista. I hope they don't do that. Yeah, Oko was a big tipping point for me, where, like, I'm gonna go try to figure out what that sound was. Was not in my apartment. I thought the cat had, like, moved the table significantly. Yeah, there have been some really frustrating Magic Online bugs over the years that have made playing on Moto for some periods, some of them longer than others, like, miserable. Um, yeah, that was exactly the example that I was going to talk about. Like, Reaplecheap is a legacy player who has been working on the Curses archetype for quite some time, and a recent Moto update broke the win condition of Reaplecheap's deck. The Cruel Reality bug is, like, devastating. Yeah, I think it's been over, like, 2 weeks. Oops, shit. I was busy talking. That one's on me. Geez, has it been 2 months? Wow. Sort of an awkward game. I feel like this one is slowly going to slip away from me. As soon as my opponent just starts, like, gunning me down via Walking Ballista, just, like, putting counters on it and, like, keeping my board in check, I feel like I'm dead. Well, don't worry, Overvoltage. We play both. Actually, Sky Hussar this turn. This Brazen Borrower bounce? Anything right now? Kind of feels like I need to maybe suspend this Ancestral this turn. Dreadhorde Arcanist was obnoxious when it came out, but then when those decks also got to play Oko, that was rough. Like I remember the Star City game, whatever the thing in Roanoke was. They didn't call it an invitational. StarCon? No. What was their little convention called? SCG Con. That's it. SCG Con. It was at one of the SCG cons. Um, at that time, Dreadhorde Arcanist was like starting to see play, and like it was something that I was starting to prepare for. Like I had made changes to my deck lists to try and beat that going into the weekend. And I remember in like round 3 or 4, I got just crushed by someone playing. I think it was Blue Red Delver that just had like 4 copies of that card. And that was the weekend where I realized, like, man, I don't beat that card if it resolves and they have a turn. Can't block that Ballista. My opponent has 4 mana up, so they can turn it into a 2/2 at will. Yeah, we're like my opponent doesn't have to do anything unfair this time. Like I think they just like outfare me pretty handily with multiple Ballista activations per turn. Bouncing the Ballista isn't exactly great because opponent can then replay it more efficiently. Hmm. I don't have mana to like bounce plus counter. That's pretty okay. We can maybe do something with that. It's a little weird to shoot that then, but okay. I don't love Astrolabe, but that card is not even close to the top of my like legacy problem cards. Like Oko and Dreadhorde Arcanist top that list very handily. Did the opponent just click through combat? Alright, I think I'm gonna just concede this game. I think I'm pretty dead to just like all these walking ballista counters. I'm gonna try to take another couple of draws here and see what happens. If I don't draw something real good in this turn cycle, or like a way to permanently answer ballista between like bounce and counter, I think I throw in the towel here, just so I have enough time for a game 3. Like this ballista effectively has 3 counters on it. I can equip this here. They still have a ballista at 1. I think I'm gonna throw in the towel. This game is potentially winnable, but I think I just have a better chance at winning the next game. Like being on the play and like making the back to basics better seems totally fine. So I know my opponent has warping whales now. Kind of makes me want to have like a fat body that can't necessarily die to it. But I'm pretty bad at turning on the blocking side of it. The attacking side isn't really guaranteed either. I think I'm just going to run it back. Uh, Yikes. Be very happy with this as a 6-card hand under old mulligan rules. I don't know that this hand is actually good enough. Like, probably get a 6 that's as good as this or better than this. Like, I don't have mana to cast this. The third vial is dead. The second vial is also kind of dead. The pithing needle may or may not be great. Let's ship that. Yes, we keep. One's a little worse than the previous hand, but not by much. I don't know. This one might be better. Like, once Sky Hussar gets going, hand can do serious things. Yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for D&T and D&T style decks in the near future. Not holding my breath on that one. Until they start doing the water philosophy to get rid of like the fire that happened over the last 2 years. I don't think D&T has much of a chance. The water philosophy is fueled by our tears. That's what makes the cards wet. It puts out the fire. Why would you play a land and then a once upon a time, though? That card important enough that you want to play it around Judge's Familiar and Days? Tabernacle, son of a bitch. Uh, yeah, I think I concede to that. I have 2 Wastelands to get rid of it. That's a disaster. I don't know how many of those there are, but let's not deal with it. Ugh. Oh, we just auto stack those. You could have done that in the way that like doesn't let me draw another card, but thanks. Holy shit. We found it. I'm just gonna take it now. I'm just gonna take it now. I don't want to like walk into a crop rotation. Opponent like finds the Ramunap. We can counter it. We lost a lot of steam. But if opponent doesn't have too much going on, that doesn't actually matter. Yes, please. Also, someday can we like let Ether Vial auto stack again? I would really love that. That would be like the single greatest quality of life change for me as an individual. Minus like banless changes, of course. Okay, that occurs. Oh no, I should have filed in response. That's a collector roof. Alright, I'm not punished for my mistake, but it was a mistake. Mm, mm. That's a large green sun. Alright, what do you have? Wait, can I stop this? I can stop this. Not find out. Alright. So once we take the collector roof off the table and start vialing in 4/3 flyers, I think we're pretty good. Oh no, don't draw a bomb off at the top. Don't do that. I've technically played that vial. I'm gonna do this once, see where it gets me. Actually, I'm not gonna play the vial. I don't want more things to be clicking through in my upkeep. God damn it, Ether Vial. Win by timeout is not the win that you're looking for. Hmm. Looks like my opponent says timers are dumb. I absolutely agree. I think we win this one without the timers, though. Like, as soon as I bounce this collector oof, I have a very insane clock. Until I bounce that collector oof, I get to start drawing 2 cards every turn, plus suspending 2 ancestrals. Like, I think I very handily. I can't even draw cards. I think I very handily end up winning that one, but it takes a while. Opponent can like top deck a big dumb Eldrazi and get there, but I don't know how many actual threats they were playing. It seemed like they were kind of threat light, and that like their green suns were kind of like a primary way that they were winning. Keep? Oh, of course. Now, I think the timers are very important to the Magic Online experience. They should be there. I like the settings that are on them as a whole. But like when you have a really interesting good game like that that just like goes on forever, it does feel a little bad. With Back to Basics in play, I think I beat I think that's worth 2 of my cards. My cards aren't worth very good. My cards aren't good, so they're not worth a lot. Tarmogoyf is a good card. Made it better. That's interesting. That's the plan to beat the Tarmogoyf is just like get a piece of equipment going. Yikes. I accept my death like right here. The opponent has the 3rd counterspell. Oh, I was thinking about like my opponent. It's fuck. Come on. 3 of a kind. So if this creature dies, Tarmogoyfs become 3/4s and life's real bad. So can't really block. Guess I'm attacking. I also can't really use the Wasteland because like a land has the same issue. Kind of hoping to dodge like anything else going to the graveyard. It's fine, right? That's realistic. Mm. Also, like, I don't really remove creatures well, so what the hell am I supposed to do versus Delver? Tab seems sweet. Submerge seems sweet. Vantress Gargoyle, probably good enough. Back to basics, maybe good enough when I'm on the play. Since it's the twos that I care the most about, and I don't have that many twos, I think Disrupting Shoal gets cut. And I don't know, like maybe I don't want to be 2-for-1ing myself versus Delver, and I should trim some of this stuff. Because like their Pierces and Dazes are going to be very good at punishing me for using a Force effect. I don't know, it really seems like I need to stop like an Oko immediately, or I die. I don't think I can cut Force of Will. Maybe I can trim Force of Negation. Maybe I can trim Flusterstorms. I don't really know what my plan is supposed to be. Let's try this. So about those 13 lands that are in this deck. Just saying. Just saying. I don't think that's actually worth protecting. I think it's like much more important that I stop something like a Tarmogoyf or a Dreadhorde Arcanist from sticking. Yeah, speak of the devil. So let's go float a blue and try to daze that. All right. We have a large, alkable, awkward gargoyle in the reserves. We have that going for us. Maybe the trick here is to just like play cards that aren't really good enough to answer. Uh, do I play this? Sure. That's fine. I'm just gonna trade like bad little idiots for my opponent's cards until I enable a Ninja of the Deep Powers. Force? I don't like super want to force, but I also don't want to be clocked. I'm gonna force here. I was going to finish that thought with, because I think my opponent will fight back, and then maybe I can actually do something with my cards in the future. That is not what occurred. Now I'm hoping to like not have to use Force of Negation and lose Ninja of the Depowers. Oh, happy to see that. Nice, we get to draw cards. Ooh. Disrupt certainly isn't crazy. I think it and Ancestral are doing like very, very different things. So I don't know that it's a direct replacement. At this point, I'm not really sure what my opponent has in hand. But I know that I'm willing to stop a brainstorm. Given the immediate mash of like 4 card draws, it seems like they had like mono lands or very close to it. On the draw, I think this becomes much worse. It's just going to be hard to like actually get a 1-drop a lot of the time. I'm going to have a lot of trouble with like early Glyph in particular. I think I'm going to do something that sounds real weird. I think I'm going to board in back to basics. I'm really worried about winning a game on the draw. And so I think I want a backdoor like, oops, I won win. And this is that. I don't think I board in all 3. But I can imagine a decent number of games where I might actually want this effect. But like, I don't have things like Dismembers, and I don't really even have that many bounce spells. So like, when a big fat creature gets on the board, like it's there. I say that, and then I start on a hand with multiple bounce spells. That feels kind of nice. I can't protect this vial, which is unfortunate. Daze would probably be the best draw in my deck. Tried to call it, it didn't work. Please resolve, please resolve, please resolve, please resolve. Just let it resolve. It can't be that bad. Please. I need it. I need it. Hmm. Like, we can potentially just beat this Delver via Submerge. I'm not super worried about that. But I am worried about, like, the threat that comes next if I miss land drops. Yeah, you're one card too late. Got him! Now opponent just resolves the Tarmogoyf. I mean, that's bad too, but... Come on. Yeah! So you're telling me there's a chance. $18 more turns. Let's go. Fuck. Tarmogoyf around days? Why? Why would you do that? Uh-oh. Something, something, 13 land, something, something. That's also around the cards that I have. Alright. $13 land. I think we're okay calling it good there. Like we're just getting delvered from this point. Like I get that you want a low land count for your deck because like you're trying to build a critical engine with a whole bunch of like blue one drop creatures, but kind of seems like some of the stuff like Jitte, Spell Stutter, Sprite, Disrupting Shoal could be a couple more lands. Um, it's probably not accurate to look at them as 3 drops or Dark View, right? So like this is really a 1 mana card. These are really free cards. This is really a 2 mana card in this deck most of the time. That's really free. That's really free. This is really free. This is really 2. This is like a free draw spell. So like there's 1 3 drop, and the curve is like 0, 1, 2, 3. Like 13 still feels really light to me, but it's probably not that light. Yeah, I'll keep this. Matches so far have been long. I think we played 3 matches in 2 hours. That awkward moment where you realize you uploaded the wrong deck. Oh no. Don't worry, my deck is bad. Spoilers, chat, but we know what's up. Would like to daze my judges familiar? Will I allow this? I will allow this. Maybe playing against Blue-Red Delver. I don't know what's going on with their life over there, but I have a feeling that if they're like a show and tell deck with days or something like that, that we're in an okay position with the number of counter spells that I have. Like Scalding Tarn Days makes me think Blue Red Delver, but like every once in a while you see these like show and tell decks that are a little bit better at protecting themselves via things like Days. Just like jam and protect. That's the plan. I'm just gonna stop that Ponder. I don't feel good about it. Gab Ruinator has arrived. Always yes. Always yield. Opponent has said, ooh, spicy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just wait till you start seeing the stupid stuff, friend. I think just bounce that rather than try to counterspell it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna bounce that. Feels good. I have so many free spells. Do I play a Martyr of Frost? I don't know. Maybe I just hold up Fluster. I think I'll just hold up Fluster. Like, I'm not gonna claim this deck is good. This deck is fun. Ooh, that looks like a real good way to brainstorm lock yourself. I don't know about that one. I really like this draw of Ether Vial, though. That means that, like, the Scab Ruinator can come down in 3 turns without me having to fill up my graveyard with 2 more creatures. I am good with that. Things are happening. I think it's worth it to suspend that. I was bottom with that preordain, by the way. Those of you keeping track at home. All. I have Hardcast Force of Negation on their turn, or play Brazen Borrower end of turn, both of which are very good. You can have a Delver as a treat. Yes, I'm good with that. This 5/6 mid-combat next turn is going to be real sexy. Don't worry about how many cards we use to fight over the ninja. That's not what's important here. What's important here is that we don't lose the game to Dreadhorde Arcanist coming down. Then we might have a full-on, like, 2019 meltdown. How could that be the first time the Scab Ruinator has been called sexy? I mean, look at it. Look at it. Take some cards back. They're done. They're done. So we didn't even have to show the Scab Ruinator. We didn't even have to draw those cards. All right. Take another Scab Ruinator. Let's take this. I don't know. These are probably better here than against the previous Delver variant since we can't really board in these cards. Um. Days on the draw. When my opponent knows that I have days is slightly rough. The 2-for-1 counter spells seemed to be totally fine, as long as I could get something like this online. I don't know, I might need to keep Daze just so I'm better at fighting turn 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is going to wreck me. Maybe let's like go down some flusters. And I don't know, one of those. It's so weird because like normally like you play against something like Delver and you'd board in a bunch of removal, like right? Like that's what's good against Delver, and we don't do that. So I have lands and spells, but I don't think my hand actually does anything. I'm gonna mulligan. Now I don't have lands. I have too many spells, so let's mulligan. Guess we're keeping this one. Oh, my opponent also mulliganed to 5 though. So that's cool. Maybe this Ancestral ends up putting me ahead. Blue card, I can't exile Jitte to answer that. Womp womp. Alright. Also, this is the first young Pyromancer I've seen in play in a very long time. Just throwing that out there. I think I'm just letting that go. I think it's probably going to be much more important to try to win the fight over this Jitte at some point in this game. Oh no. Please don't Dreadhorde Arcanist me here. Delver's fine, I can counter a Delver. Alright, so we have this Ancestral ticking down that hopefully gets me out of my current bind. If it doesn't, feel dead. I also can't fight over this. If my opponent has a Force of Will for next turn, it's real bad. Like even hardcast Force of Negation is good enough here. Uh-oh. Yep. Seems like dead. Seems like dead. Perfect timing. All right. GG. I'll get to try again, though. On the play, Flusterstorm is more reasonable. Maybe my plan is just like more things to protect this. Young Pyromancer are real good against Ninja of the Deep Hours, though. I don't know, maybe Vision isn't great against Blast. I don't know, everything in my deck is blue, except Jetty and Vile. Blast is maybe overloaded. I don't really know how to board here. Like, I don't know how many of these one drops I can cut and still have a functional deck. Seeing as I don't know what to do, I'm just gonna whack submit and hope that Past Fill did an okay job at sideboarding. And looks amazing. I'm gonna grab water while my opponent mulligans. Alright. I have enough water to get me through this map. I'll have to actually refill in the next round if we don't just like die to Reanimator or something. Delver resolves. We just cast a Jitte this turn. Try to like snipe my opponent's stuff with Judge's Familiar? Probably not. I should probably just like take the time to cast another Ether Vial and suspend Ancestral. I think this Ancestral is potentially the thing that's going to let me break parity with my opponent. Oh, baby. I'll absolutely make that trade. Time probably favors me. Not 100%, but probably. I'm gonna start ticking up this vial towards 5 to put in Sky Hussar later. I'm gonna put the other one up to 1 and leave it there. Jette's slightly awkward now. In that, like, I don't have a creature to pair with it. And I also can't protect it. And if I don't draw anything good this turn, I'm just casting it directly into a daze. Lunanite, if you want a visual view, you can also click on the Cardboard Live extension that's on screen. Oh no, my opponent has disconnected. Excuse me. I am getting sleepy. The last 2 days have been really long days. Um, I'm a teacher, and the beginning of the teacher work week is in many days the worst part of the year because you have so many things that you're required to do, like both legally by law and at like the school level to like get things started. So like in a normal year, it's long because like you talk about like safety procedures, you have like HR things to do, you have like policies that have changed since last year that if you have to educate yourself on. You have like special ed things to be thinking about. Like there's a lot going on normally, and then this year also like keeps like COVID and remote learning stuff on top of that. So there's been a lot of times in meetings in the past 48 hours, most of which was productive and very good. I'm not saying that it was a waste of time or anything. Like I think it was very important to do what we did, but it doesn't change the fact that like on each one of those days, at the end of the workday, I was drained. Yes, my admins are great. I will praise them to high heaven. They care about the students, they care about the faculty. Like I don't think the school should be open as an individual. Like that is my professional opinion. But if the school has to be open and they want it to be open, the plan that they have is quite good. Yep. That's a thing that I'm going to have a lot of trouble beating. Schools' ventilation systems have been changed so that they're drawing outside air to cool. So most classrooms are on an individual system. Not all. Some are shared between two classrooms, but that situation is as good as it can realistically be for a school. They always no to that one. Ugh. My Ancestral's probably too slow. Like my opponent has me on a 3-turn clock. I need to draw something that can connect with Jitte. Like my personal circumstances are allowing me as an individual to work from home. But the same is not true of many of my coworkers. I am very thankful for my circumstances. All right. Rough. No, like our admin team is in touch with like multiple local doctors in order to like figure out best practices and stuff. They're doing things that make sense and are as safe as like can reasonably be expected. All right. So I feel like I'm dead. I can put in a Sky Hussar to trade with Delver, but I'm still dead to True Name Nemesis in 2 turns, and like I have to like resolve like maybe Visions and Jitte. I don't see this working. Yeah, I'm not dead yet. It'll take another minute off my clock. Oh no, the visions that they've had 5 turns to prepare for. I mean, I'll bite. I need the cards. But if they have like a force beyond this, like disgusting. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. Guess I'll cast this one. And then I need to rip like land for Jitte next turn. I also need my opponent to not have Lightning Bolt. I also need them to do some things that don't kill me and also don't cast Brazen Borrower. Baby steps, baby steps. No spirits. Spirits, okay. Chain Lightning. Yeah, that doesn't even use the combat step to kill me. Woo! I tried. I mean, I guess technically it uses the combat step. It doesn't use combat damage, is really what I should have said. Alright, now I'm gonna refill the water. Actually, I'm gonna run to the restroom too. I will be right back, folks. Alright, sorry about the delay. Let's go into the final round here. Yeah, I also haven't seen this deck in years. This stream has been fun. We've done some silly things, but scoreboard says we aren't doing all that well. So just as a heads up, I have a new updated queue for the month of August up on Thraben University. We're looking at playing some combo goblins on Saturday. I have a time slot available for donations on Wednesday, August the 12th, Saturday, August the 22nd, and Saturday, August the 29th. If you're interested in seeing some things on stream, there's details both on the website and below the stream if you are interested in those sorts of things. I have some guest content this month. Currently have 3 guests slated. We're going to be looking to do some curses with Reaplecheap, some vintage painter with Nathan, and something with Daryl Ayers. He hasn't decided what he wants to play yet. I mean, we put a win up on the board. We beat Zephyrman. And we've made every other round a 1-2. So, like, we've been on the scoreboard every round. There have been no slaughters. We made a very large Niv Magus Elemental against Depths. Like, I exiled my own Flusterstorm and made, I don't know, like a 15-16 Niv Magus Elemental or something like that. Like, it was super cool. Oh, I'm playing against goblins. Eh. Answers like Vile or Lackey to start with. I'll keep this and pitch a Flusterstorm. I don't necessarily think this hand's great or anything. What the fuck are you doing? Card's not in goblins. Am I supposed to Force of Negation or Disrupting Shoal? I'm probably Disrupting Shoal. Assuming that Force of Negation is better later. I think flying's the most valuable thing here. Oh god! That's not how that works. Alright. That was obviously very bad. Whatever, we drew Ancestral Visions. Alice Goblins? Interesting. Just like Ancient Tomb lets you turbo out Muxus faster. Yeah, I can't even sacrifice Judge's Familiar to beat Cheeky. Maybe we'll get to Days of Muxus. That'd be cool. Oh wait, no, I don't think we get to because of War Chief. Alright. How bad is it? It's bad. I'm gonna look at a couple more cards in my opponent's deck. Chromox, Warren Instigator. Alright. Legion War Boss, okay. Something else that's good with the Ancient Tombs. Alright. This is good. Next game. Do you remember that part where I keep talking about, like, wanting to have removal for post-sideboard games? We still don't have removal for post-sideboard games. Bring in a couple of big fat things. These are probably quite bad. Disrupting Shawl also, like, quite bad. Storm also very bad. I guess these are, like, staying in. And an extra's coming in, and, like, this goes out for that. And I keep one. I don't think I want to fight on the Pithing Needle axis. I have no one drop for this hand. That's awkward. I wonder if this hand's still good. Let's assume no. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we can mise this one off of Jitte. It's a good card. I see. So that's the plan. Just use the caverns to cast through Chalice anyway. I like it. I mean, we're going for it. We can get like pyrokinesis or something here. It seems like something of that nature is going to happen. Or like sack the prospector, cycle Jim Palm incinerator. Nope. Okay. Yeah, that was a bad example. So I guess I could have like drawn an extra card via Sky Hussar if I'm willing to tap both my creatures, but I think just like getting more Jitte counters is better than almost anything else I can be doing right now. Next turn I might draw extra cards. Actually, like not sure. I counter that? Kind of feels like I just counter that because I can. That's a great safety net. I don't think I want to sit on too many Jitte counters. Oh, that's uncounterable. Alright, you get that. Dead gone. No, I think I just want to kill my opponent. I think that's my plan now. I think I just like use my Jitte counters for damage and just try to close out the game. There's so many things that can go wrong off that Goblin Matron that I just want to be threatening lethal next turn. Well, I don't want XJ Cloud to have any fun, right? Like, he got to Muxus once already. So if we can keep him from having any more fun other than just that, like, be nice. Damn you, City of Traitors! And he's dead. That was close. He nearly had fun. Counter spells are a touch rough. On the draw, now that I know that my opponent has Goblin Lackey, do I also want Disrupting Shoal? Or one random non-flying creature? Yes? Let's assume yes. The opponent could have like turn one Warren Instigator now. That's obviously very good. Can't daze on the draw. Hopefully we can like bounce that and then do some stuff. Alright, do I have a 2-drop in my hand? I do, I have Daze. I can also just Daze. It's fine to just Daze. I think this current situation favors my opponent quite a bit. So I have no 0 CMC thing in hand. Alright, that resolves. Okay. I can now Brazen Borrower the Chalice and then resolve 2 1-drops. You have another fucking Muxus. Yep. Impalm Incinerator and Goblin Warchief. Yeah. I can bounce his Chalice, play 2 1-drops, and then just be dead. Alright. Cool. This deck was bad. It was fun, but it was very bad. Like, playing 13 lands was suicide. Like, we mulliganed so many hands, and we got stuck on so many hands. Like, this deck probably needs somewhere on the order of 3 more lands. Like, there were a lot of cards in this deck that, like, very much reasonably could have been cut for more lands. I also don't think that this deck gets to be the Wasteland deck if it's going to run 13 lands. Like, can't have openers that have Wasteland as your only land. Like, they do not function. So I don't think this deck should be a Wasteland deck. I think it should have, like, 3 more lands as a starting point. And I think it needs more removal. Like, That's the thing I talked about. I think literally every round was like I wanted removal from the sideboard, and like we just don't have much of that. Like maybe that's not something that this deck gets to do a lot of, but like even access to a couple things like Brazen Borrower in the sideboard to help take some pressure off, like would be totally, totally fine. Um, the deck was kind of cool when it was doing its thing, but the hands without like a Sky Hussar or a Ninja were very, very different from the ones that did have those. Once I got one of these two things online, the deck was like really cool. But without those, like we kind of only had one other thing that did stuff throughout the league. Like we mised one Nibmagus Elemental Flusterstorm win. But even that still relied on the Sky Hussar draw engine. Yeah, I don't know. Like the Scab Ruinator was really hard to cast. Like as dear to my heart as it is, like that could just be a Brazen Borrower. It's really hard to make Jitte work. Like you can't tutor for it, and you're already really landlight. Like these things could go. Disrupting Shoal is like probably just worse than Force of Negation in a whole lot of scenarios. I don't know. Like maybe this deck wants some sort of like curiosity effect. The more like Brazen Borrower type things you put in the deck, the better the vials will become. Vials also a way to like dump the cards in that you're drawing off of like Ninja and Sky Hussar. I think that's fine. I don't know. Sideboard probably needs to be addressed as well. Like back to basics as an I win plan is cool and all, but like you play a back to basics after your opponent played a Tarmogoyf, like, ugh. So I think I want to be up to the full 4 Brazen Borrower and the 75. I think I want a couple more Ninja of the Deep Hours in this deck. And I think I also want more Force of Negation. So, hold on. Yeah, so like we only played 2 Force of Negation. And like I very easily think that like 2 of the Disrupting Shoals could be Force of Negations as a starting point. Oh yeah, there's the Octopus as well. The Sea Dasher Octopus could totally be in this deck as well. I don't know. Like there's room for exploration of this archetype. Um, but as it stands now, like fun for an evening, but I wouldn't expect to win my matches with these. We did make every round competitive. I will say that. Like we were not just a total dog, just like absolutely dead. We did do powerful things. We took games in just about every round. But did not feel like I was really doing the more broken thing. And that's something that I think is really important in Legacy right now. Is like you want to feel like you're the more degenerate deck. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night here. Once again, thank you to Red from Discord for supporting this league, and we do have a couple more slots open for August. Details are both below the stream and on Thraben University if you want to check that out. If this is your first time here for Legacy, please consider following. I'm usually streaming Legacy 2 or 3 times a week, and a little bit of Monster Train as well. And I'll be back on Saturday with some Goblins. Have a great rest of the day, folks. Let's host some Goblin actions.